IVM.
Hey, it's been a great week on IVM Podcast. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you are. We are IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This week on Keeping It Queer, Navin talks to prominent author Devdutt Patnaik to explore queerness as depicted in Indian mythology. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus meets the film critic and writer Rajasthan, and the duo quickly descend into a whirlwind of movie references. On LBB, catch a fun event in Delhi happening soon and a contest lined up for you on the LBB I Found Awesome podcast. On Hustle Science, hosts Ranveer and Tejaswin talk to entrepreneur Pranav Marwa from Thinkubate about his journey. Also, if you missed last week, make sure you catch Sahil Qatar on their first episode. That was a great show. On Paisa, Vaisa, if you missed last week's episode, we had a fun back-to-school special episode with a bunch of really smart 10-year-olds who asked Anupam questions about inflation, taxes, and more. Try and listen to as many of these shows as you can. And now, on to your show.
Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa, the show on all things money, investment, savings, and much more. We've done a lot of shows now on specifically on investments, mutual funds, equities, and a lot of stuff. In this episode, we're going to start a special series, and this one is going to be on credit cards. We're going to talk about what exactly is a credit card, how to choose them, how to use them, and do it in a smart manner. Now, I know that a lot of you would be using debit cards and bank transfers. You can see that with the amount of apps that are out there, which you use for transfers. Say you want to send your friend some money or you want to pay a bill, you would use an app for that, which is all fine. And you also know that the number of debit cards actually are much more than all the credit cards in India. But here's the thing: credit cards still remain a very powerful way to handle your day-to-day expenses and a lot of other things, provided you know how to use these credit cards well. And to explain exactly how this is done, how to choose it, how to use it, we have a very special guest for our three-part series, Navin Chandani, who is the Chief Business Development Officer at BankBazaar.com. Navin, thank you so much for doing this show. Let's just start by telling our listeners your background and how you came about to be working at BankBazaar.
Thank you very much for having me over here.
Thanks.
Pleasure to be associated with this show.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you a background, I have around 20 years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in companies like American Express, Visa, Experian, mainly been in financial services. And
on the card side, I can see, because Amex is among the biggest cards out there. Visa, of course, is Visa. So did you have that in your mind when you were choosing careers, or did it just happen? Or?
It just happened. Actually, on campus, I was taken by Dun & Bradstreet, which was providing information to banks. And that led me to move into American Express, which, like you very rightly said, is a very affluent card issuer.
Yes.
Which I had a good 6.5 years with them. And no, it was not initially by design. I think what you get on campus, you choose from that, and then that leads you to where you are. But what was good is after MX, I moved into Experian. At Experian, I launched their digital marketing services.
For our listeners, this is really interesting. I didn't know what Experian was till recently, and just before the show, I was talking with Navin about how there are 4 credit card suppliers all over the world. And folks, we're going to get to credit scores in the third part of our episode. But Navin, what exactly is, when you're working at Experian, what exactly is that? What is Experian?
So Experian, when I was working with them, and even today, they are the largest data company. They are data analytics. Within data analytics, they would have bureau scores, the credit scores, and they have allied services. So they have decision analytics, they have marketing analytics, they have business information. So it's mainly a data company. And that actually helps provide risk insights for banks to make decisions whether to lend or give a credit card. You spoke about
credit scores.
Yes.
So that's like saying that if a bank wants to give me a loan to buy a scooter, they need to have a lot of data. Experian provides that data, among other people, of course.
Yes, yes. There are 4 of them in India, like you said.
Okay, great. So let's get down to basics now, Navin. What exactly is a credit card and how is it different from a debit card? Just tell us, it sounds deceptively simple. But I want my listeners to understand some very basic things about credit cards, because I think once you understand the product, you know how to use them. Tell us.
Okay. So, all of us who will require a transaction, you started off by saying there are a lot of apps and everybody gets a debit card if you have a savings account.
Yeah.
But what does debit card do before I come to what credit card does, right? A debit card helps remove money from your bank at that point in time when you swipe it.
Right.
So you can either swipe it at a particular retailer. So if you're going to buy groceries from, BankBazaar,
Yes.
you swipe your card. At the same time, if it is 1,000 rupees swipe, your bank account gets debited by 1,000 rupees.
Correct.
So debit card is debiting your account now,
Right.
as soon as I use it.
So if I have 10,000 rupees in my bank, I spend 1,000, my bank account balance comes down.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that is a debit card. But what is a credit card? By the word credit, it means you can spend now but pay later.
Okay.
Debit card was you're paying now.
Yes.
But credit card is you pay later.
Right.
So if I pay later, I get an opportunity to use funds from a bank who has issued me the card for a period of time.
Okay.
It could be for usually 30 days billing cycle.
Right.
But like you started off saying, it is very crucial that when you start using your credit card, you understand that, hey, I have to pay on the due date.
Yes.
I think that's the most important thing.
Would I be right in saying that a debit card is my own money and credit card is someone else's money?
For that period of credit that you get,
Yes.
there's a credit-free period, which is
Yes.
usually 30 days.
Right.
It is somebody else's money the bank has provided to you, subject to you paying back on the due date. But
Right,
if you
right.
don't pay back on the due date,
Right.
not only will you be required to pay what you have used, but also an interest or a late payment fee will be charged.
So I want to talk about this part now. Okay, now let's say that my credit cycle is from the 1st of every month to 30th. I believe the cycles are more like 15th to 15th. But let's just say, it's from 1st of every month till 30th of every month. And I have 15 days to repay it. Is that normally how a credit cycle works?
So it's usually 30 days.
Yeah.
So it could be 1st to 30th. It could be 15th to 15th.
Yeah.
And there are various billing cycles. Each issuer will have multiple.
Oh.
It depends on which credit cycle they have actually sourced your application and put you on.
Right.
So for simplicity, like you very rightly said, take 1st to 30th.
Okay.
Then usually you have to see the T's and C's. Usually you get 21 days after the bill generation. The
Right.
bill gets generated after 30 days.
Yes.
So 30th, my bill get generated.
Yeah.
21st of the next month is usually when you will have to pay the amount.
So you've got 3 weeks after the last day of the credit cycle.
Usually.
But as a user, the experience is seamless. I can use the card 24 hours a day whenever I want. There's no, you can't use your card after this period, that period, as long as you pay the amount on the, am I right in assuming all this?
So when you are issued a card, you will be given a credit limit.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
So you can use your card as long as you have not breached your credit limit.
Right.
Also, there are certain cards that will have an opportunity where you can use it in India or abroad. And if it is abroad, some of them actually, when they issue the card, they say, if you want to use it abroad, either through their website or through their call center, you will have to enable those transactions when you go abroad.
Like a SIM card, right?
It's like a safety feature.
Okay.
It's like a SIM card. But some banks keep it open.
Okay.
Some banks, to protect you, have requested that when you travel abroad, you let us know and we will enable it.
Okay.
So you're right. You can use the card. It is available 24/7. As long as you have a credit limit on it, which you have not breached. It is available for you to use at a POS machine. What is POS machine? It is a point of sale.
Yeah.
So you can buy anything, pay for a meal.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can book your tickets online or pay for your electricity bills.
Correct.
So the convenience that a card, and this is the same for a debit and a credit card, though, like I said, the only difference is that for a credit card, you will pay later. Debit card, you are paying now.
Right now. Tell us about credit limit, right? Now, let's say that I am someone who has started his job, for the first time. just got a job. My starting salary is, I don't know, what, 5-10 lakhs maybe a year. How do I apply for a credit card? What kind of credit limit should I expect at this level?
Okay, so I think applying for a credit card, typically I would say is after choosing the right card for yourself.
Okay.
Right? So there are various cards in the market, and there are multiple cards from the same bank also.
Okay.
So I think choosing a credit card is it's itself a research and journey.
Okay, we'll I've actually kept that for the second second episode. We will get to that. I want to wrap up this episode by a very critical question that I feel that listeners should know. What are the basic mistakes that all of us, tend to commit when we take a credit card? Now, I can speak from my own experience. I remember when I had got my first credit card, I just freaked out, right? I just went and spent. I think at some point of time, and those are the days when you didn't even have an SMS hitting you or something of that sort. I think it was probably declined somewhere. When I finally realized that, listen, I've got a credit limit of maybe, 50,000 a month, and I've actually gone and spent 60,000 a month. So as the first thing, what was worse was I didn't even pay the full amount at first shot. So then I learned about interest. So I wanted to tell our listeners what are some very basic mistakes that all of us do, because I know, there's a lot of advice that people give. I know that my parents or, people think it's very good advice to tell youngsters that never use a credit card. Okay, now I'm not too sure about that. I think credit cards are cool. I think that when they're used in the right manner, they're actually very, very useful. They're very, very powerful. But we tend to commit mistakes. Okay, and credit cards, they're there for a purpose. But if we make mistakes, then that's on us to learn more about the card. It does not mean that we should just never use a credit card in our life. So let's start with that.
You're bang on. I think people who use credit card, I believe, are disciplined. And because they are disciplined, they will be disciplined even in their normal day-to-day work and life, right? And how does it become disciplined? Because there is something that pinches you if you're not disciplined, right?
Carrot and stick.
Exactly. So here it is already built into the terms and conditions that the basic mistake, if you make, what actually happens. They have actually written that, but a lot of us don't read that.
We don't. The envelope comes to us and we are just so excited to have that shiny credit card with that nice chip inside, and we just sign it and just start using it. I know for a fact that I think it's called MITC, most important terms and conditions. It's written so well in that envelope, but it just goes in the junk.
Correct.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
So I think you touched the first one already, that you should not unnecessary spend on a credit card. I think just the behavior that how much I would have otherwise spent if I had money in my pocket, or I know that my salary is coming on so and so date. You said somebody young, a college going student, or just got out of college and a salaried person, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. We know that 50,000 is going to come at the end of the month. Till that time, how much can I spend? I should not spend more than 50,000 for sure, but I have to spend for probably rent or whatever. So I think the first thing is spend within your limits.
Yes,
that is the first thing.
Right.
Second thing is that if I am spending, don't forget when I have to pay. I might have money in my bank account, but if you're not disciplined and you don't pay it on time, you will be hit by an interest fee, which you will have to pay. So I think paying on time is crucial. For that, if you want to even keep a reminder, it's good, though you keep getting SMSs from the bank that this is your due date. So that would be the second thing. The third thing would be that I pay in full. Because if I have spent, say, 50,000 rupees and I actually pay only 30,000 rupees, that balance is where I have to pay interest. So that would be the third thing. Try to pay in full. The fourth thing is that they have given you a facility which is withdrawal of cash.
Oh, this is an important one. Okay.
This is a crucial one. Please use debit card for withdrawal of money. Because that is your money in your account. As soon as you use withdrawal of cash on a credit card, Actually, the interest starts from the date of withdrawal of cash.
Wow.
So please don't do that. So these were the things that I think the 4 things that we should keep in mind. Plus any T's and C's. For example...
What is a T's and C's? Sounds I'm interested.
Yeah, the terms and conditions, as they say.
T and C.
Yes.
Okay, I was teasing someone and seizing someone. T and C as in terms and conditions.
Yes.
Okay, terms and conditions, yeah.
Yes. So I think these are the 4 big mistakes we should watch out for. And hopefully, like you very rightly said, the benefits are far greater than the risks. The last one I would say is that we all in India have a PIN. That could be for any card.
Yes.
May it be a debit card or a credit card.
Correct.
Security is important. Do not give your card to the waiter and tell him the PIN. Right?
That's basic, man.
That is
so
basic.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a lot of people do that because...
So they're going they're out at a restaurant and they're eating the food, the bill comes in and you pay by your card. Hold on, you're saying that people actually give the credit card to the waiter and tell them, this is my PIN, go into...
Some of them do that, and I have seen that. So most of the people would put the PIN themselves.
Yeah.
Now, if the machine... Now, there are lots of people who come with the point of sale machine to you, and you put the PIN.
Fair enough.
But sometimes in the older restaurants, you have to walk to the cashier, and that's where the PIN is. So sometimes they don't want to take that effort of walking there. They say, okay, this is my card, this is my PIN. So whenever I've seen that, I have really felt, I don't know, the government, the regulator, everyone creates different security measures. I think security is every person's responsibility.
Sure.
So please don't do that.
Okay. Folks, I'm going to recap this entire thing, okay, because it's really important. I think step number 1, Navin, would be that see your credit card statement. Okay. Now, once you see your credit card statement, there are going to be certain things that are going to pop out. First is obviously the period of your credit cycle. It's going to be the transactions. Now, there are some of us who are control freaks like me who keep track on each and every item that they have spent, and they have a vague idea कि महीने के end में मेरा approximately इतना credit card bill आएगा. Fair enough. Okay. So check your credit card bill. Pay in full. Would you think that's really important?
Very important. Pay in full, and most importantly, do not buy or use your card above what you think you can otherwise repay.
Yeah. Spend Spend what you can and save what you should. So keep your own expenses under control. So, I get that when it's your first time with a credit card, you feel damn excited and you overspend, which is all fine. But learn your lesson. Figure out what you really need to spend on. There are online sales nowadays. Everything is at a discount, and I would love to get the new iPhone or the new OnePlus and go on and on spending on that. But pay in full. I think that's the thing.
Yes.
Can you give us an example of what happens if you don't pay in full? I have a bill of 50,000. Okay, I pay only 10,000. I've got 40,000 which I have still to pay on, and guess what? I'll end up spending again, right? Because my credit card hasn't stopped. Na? I can still use it. So I've got 40,000 already yet to be paid, and I spent 20,000 more. How bad is that?
So the first thing would be that you have revolved, which means you have not paid in full, and the interest fee charge starts from the date, the due date.
Yes.
So you are paying an interest on this 40,000 which you have not paid.
Yes.
Suppose the limit on the card was 60,000.
Okay.
You will have only 20,000 more.
Correct.
Before you get a decline.
Yes.
So that's another thing.
I can't keep on using it forever.
No.
It will be declined.
It will be declined after you bust your credit limit.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 things happened. 1, you will have to pay an interest on it. Second, the card will stop, or it will tell you to contact your bank if you have breached the credit limit.
And what interest rate we looking at? 3% a month?
It depends. But usually, yes, it is. Some are slightly lower.
Okay.
There are various cards that are available on different rates.
Okay. And most importantly, folks, never keep, or should you keep your debit and credit card nearby in the purse when you go to an ATM? It's happened with me. Okay, I have put my credit card into the ATM and withdrawn money.
Yeah,
and it was bad. So
just be careful on that.
Use different pins for credit cards and debit cards.
That goes without saying.
Right?
Goes without saying.
It happened to me. So use a different pin for your credit card. Use a different pin for your debit card.
And also, don't take out your credit card at the ATM. that's a given.
Yeah, because
otherwise you'll be paying higher interest rates on that.
Yeah.
And you have money in your bank if you have the debit card with you.
Ho jata hai. You make that mistake sometimes, and that's your own. Folks, that was a wrap on our first episode. We spoke about what exactly is a credit card. We spoke about basic mistakes that we should not do. Stay tuned. In the second episode, we're going to talk about the main thing. How do you choose the best credit card for yourself? My guest was Navin Chandani, who is the Chief Business Development Officer at BankBazaar.com.
No material on this show should be considered as financial advice. The material on this show is for informational purposes only. Please consult a financial advisor before taking any investment decision.
There she stands, a podcast addict. Outside the bank, having travelled several miles to get in with other poor souls like her. The journey, though daunting for this youngling, will have some comfort because she has downloaded her favourite podcast. You can see more of her species on ivmpodcasts.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.